Hello guys, how you all doing? You are welcome to today's self-learning section, and I believe you learned a lot from the last video. And I believe to this point that we all know how to be the responsive navbar. Don't worry if you don't know how to add a little JavaScript, but trust me, you can just save this JavaScript file somewhere and always make use of it. So it is very usable. So you don't actually need to cram what is inside the hamburger menu for now, but you can make use of it. Alright, so let's get started for today. So today let's check what we have since the last time we met. All right, so this is what we have already, and I believe you should have something similar to this on your browser also. All right, so the next thing we want to work on and is we want to work on our skills page, and we should all know that our skill page should show the visitor what skill we've acquired at Skylab or at anywhere. So let's get started. Let's see what we can do with this. All right, so the first thing we are going to do here now before we code is we are going to clean this up because we don't want this to be messy. Let me show you from here. All right, so as you can see here, we have our hamburger here, we have our css file here, we have our html file here, and we have our svg inside the same directory. So, and it is not well structured. So what we are going to do now is we are going to add everything. We are going to set it up so that everything will be structured, because that's how good programmers work. And sure, you are a good programmer. All right, so what we are going to do here is we are going to create a new folder, and what I like to do is I like to keep my HTML files inside a content or public folder apart from the index. So your index must be in the root folder. And what is the root folder? The root folder is this is where the root folder is like your let me say the beginning of your project, like the first place you are going to get to in your project. So, and whenever we open this d5, which is our project folder, so that's our root folder. So your index.html must be here and not inside another sub folder. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a public folder where that's where we are going to keep all our keys.html, about.html, and contact.html. But remember that the index is very important because that's what our hosting machine will be looking for whenever we are hosting our website. So the next thing we are going to create here is we are going to create a new folder, and we are going to name it assets. Okay, so these assets, you can actually name it anything, but I think the general name that I know is assets. And just like the name implies, asset is just like what belongs to the project. You understand? The assets, the properties of the project. So these assets, and some people also call it statics. Some people name it statics. So these assets contains the resources that are not going to change, especially like images, your css file. You actually don't need them to change. They are not dynamic, so you can put them inside these assets. So inside these assets now, what we are going to have inside the assets now is we are going to have our HTML, our CSS folder, we are going to have our JavaScript folder, and also we are going to have our image folder. So I'm going to proceed to the VS Code now, so that I'll show you how you can create a folder directly from your VS Code. Okay. So as you can see now, we have the two folders that we have created, which is the assets and also the public folder. All right, so like I said, inside the assets now, we are going to create the folders that we need, all our asset folder. So to create a new folder in VS Code, so you just have to bring your cursor to this folder icon over here, the second icon here. So just click on it. As you can see, we already have a tooltip that says new folder. So left click on it and you are going to have a new box here. So that's an input box which is asking you for the name of the new folder. So what we now want to do is we want to create a new folder and name it CSS, and then you press enter and the folder has been created. And if we switch back to our Explorer and we open it, you can see our file explorer has already seen the CSS file we created from our VS Code. So this is a better way to create a folder when you are inside your VS Code. You don't have to switch. Alright, so let's go back, and now the next thing we want to do again is we want to create our JavaScript folder so that we keep our Hamburger script inside of it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click on this asset, click on the asset, make sure that the arrow is pointing down, then click on the new folder again, then type the name of your folder. So in this case, I'm just going to say JS. I love using JS instead of JavaScript full. Alright, so the last thing we want to create here is for our images. You know, we have an SVG and we're also going to be making use of some other SVGs. So we want to have a folder for our image. So what we are going to do now is just the same way. Click on the asset, click on the folder, then give it an img image. Alright, and we are good to go. So the next thing we want to do now is we want to move all these to their respective folder. So this hamburger.js is definitely going to the JavaScript folder. So what we are going to do now is we are just going to click on it, hold it, then drag it. You can see you drag it, then you drag it to the folder you want, and as you can see that the JavaScript arrow has pointed down, then drop it inside. So you will be prompted that are you sure you want to move hamburger.js into JavaScript? This is going to prompt you, and I will advise you not to check this because sometimes you might mistakenly move some folders that are around, especially when you are working with in a complex project. So you just want this to alert you of any unintended actions that you are performing. Alright, so just click on move, and yeah, our hamburger script has been moved to our JavaScript folder. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is we are going to do the same thing for our CSS, and we are also going to do the same thing for our image. Alright, cool. And as you can see, our folder and our project code base is more structured. So, and as you can see now, we only have the index.html in our root folder. So this is our root folder. This is where our project starts from. You know, when they say root folder, that means that where, let's just say where the journey begins. So, and this is where the journey begins. All right, so what we are now going to do next is on our web page. What we have is that things are broken, like our page is not looking fine anymore, and you should know that is because our CSS and JavaScript files are not located where we told the browser they are. You understand? It's just like telling someone you kept your money on the fridge, and on getting there the money is not on the fridge but actually on the TV because you've moved it to the TV. So let me show you what I mean. So you can just right click on your browser and click on view page source, or use Ctrl+U, and when you click it, it's going to show you your source code. This is everything we'll be writing in our code, and also to show you that our CSS file is broken, click on this link where we import our CSS file. When you click on it, it's going to tell you that I cannot get index.css. So this is a better way to debug your files, especially when maybe your CSS styles are not showing up on your HTML file. So what you just want to do is you can check the view source and check the file if they are actually connected. So since this is not connected and we already know the reason, so what we are going to do is we are going to head back to our VS Code. Then we are now going to update our index.html that we have changed the location of this index.css. So what we are going to do is we are going to clear out this. Then let me zoom my browser a little bit. Okay. Okay. All right. So what we are going to do now is we are going to point out where the CSS file is. So we can click on dot back tick. Then you can see we already have this suggestion. So if you don't have these on your system, I think it comes automatically. Just try and make sure that you have the updated version, but I think it always comes along with every VS Code. So click on the asset, click on the CSS, and then you can see we have our index.css, right? So our file is good. Our file is good to go. So it's going to show on our browser. So just click on save. Then let's come back. Yeah, and everything works except for our image. All right, so you can see that everything works fine after we tell the browser that uh, this is the location of the file. So let's refresh this page. So and after refreshing this page, you can see that we now have the updated version of our code base. So what we can do is we can click on this and we are going to see all our code base here. So this is just another tip for you. You can go to any website. If you like the way they build something, just right click, view the page source, and when you view the page source, you can see their source code. And trust me, nobody is going to arrest you from learning from what you are seeing from the page source. All right, so what we want to do is we are going to do the same thing for the image, and you can see the usefulness of using the right markup for everything that we do in HTML. You remember we added an alternative text to our image in case the image breaks, and now in this case our image has broken. You can see that we have this text that is going to guide the user that this image is a landing page illustration. So even if what's it called, a blind person is listening to your web page, is not only someone with an eye that will go to your web page. People that are blind too, they have some devices that help them to read out websites so that they are going to know what is on your website. But if you don't have these alternative text to your image, that means you are hiding that particular image from people that are blind, and that doesn't make you a good developer, because you are developing for everybody that is human. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to come here and we want to say this is our image. So you don't actually need to clean everything. You understand, you might have a lot of things to do and you don't want to clear it out for some reasons. So what you can do is, since you already know that is, you already know where it is, just double double click. Then you can see we're already having all these suggestions. You understand what I'm saying? So but what we have now is, this is the current directory of the index.html, and we want to travel to pick something from this asset, and this is where we are going to. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to start from this index.html, which is this dot backslash. So the next thing we are heading to is asset. So we are going to write assets slash. So ignore this suggestion, assuming it is not there, right? So we are inside the assets now, and the next page we are going to now is the image. So what we are going to do next is type our image and do slash, and after the slash, inside the image, we have the landing page image. Ignore this. So it's still correct, but just ignore it, assuming it is not there. So that's how to manually do it. And when you save and come here, we have our page back. Yes, so there's one more thing I think we need to look into. um, our JavaScript file has not been connected, so that's why our hamburger is not working. And to just fix this, let's head back to our VS Code and do the same thing. So I can come here and still say assets. Just this is the third method you can use. So instead of clearing everything and starting from dot slash or just writing your way manually, the next thing you can do is you can just come here, put your cursor, your pointer here, put it at the backslash, then press Control plus the space bar, Control with the space bar, and when you click on it, it's going to give you the path. Click on asset, click on JavaScript rather, then click on your hamburger. So anyone that suits you, the manual one, the autocomplete, or using the shortcut. So that's a bonus. Alright, so let's come back here and check. So as you can see, we have our hamburger working perfectly. Alright, so the next thing we want to do now is we want to proceed to building our skills page, where we are going to show the recruiter, or we are going to show people that we are a front-end developer, a back-end developer, and what we actually know in front-end or back-end developer. Alright. So what we want to do now is, okay, please, before we proceed, I can see that a lot of us are really having a good layout, but the only thing that is missing out is our color scheme. Before you pick a color scheme, because some people are using background color of yellow, which is actually okay for this stage, but let's try as much as possible to pick out a color. You can actually pick, like, for now you can pick like two, let's say maximum of three. Maximum of three color is okay. So you can just use one as a primary color, use the other one as the secondary color, you understand, and the rest you can just use it to touch, you understand. So you won't have color that will be affecting your user eyes, because we have to be careful about user experience. I'm just telling you this so that you know that these things exist. So you can go online and look for color schemes, colors that goes where, but for now it is okay to build things with black and white, you understand, black and white, or you can go with something like this also. Okay, so that's just another advice before we go on. You guys are really doing well. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is we want to come to the public folder, and we want to create a new HTML file, and we are going to name this keys.html. All right. Okay, so this is our keys.html, where we are going to put all our keys in. So the next thing we want to do is we want to connect our skills page to our index page, so that our users will be able to navigate from the landing page the um, to the skills page. Alright, so this is what I mean. So when I click on this, I should be able to go to the skills page, but as you can see, as I'm clicking this, the page is just getting reload. So, and also let me give you another tip. If you don't want your link to go anywhere, like maybe you don't have anything to put there yet, you can put a narrow sign there. Just feed them up with a narrow sign, and when you come back, if you click on it, you can see that it's not reloading again. So that these are the little things that makes you a better programmer. So you see your page are not reloading again, and you are not wasting your client or your visitors data, because each time the page reloads, it gets all these images again from the server from where you host it from, and their data is getting exhausted. So that's another tip. All right, so since this is the home page, we just have to leave the hash there so that it will not reload each time they click on it. So you cannot go from home to home, you're already at home. All right, so what we want to do is okay, this is okay. So the next thing we want to do now is for these keys we want to point it out here and say remember we can use the dot slash. You see, press the asset. Oh sorry, we are going to public. We are going to public, and inside the public we have this keys.html. So these are public and it's beside the index, and this keys is inside the public. All right, so now let's see whether what we have is going to work. So hit on save and come here and click on keys. All right, good. So we have a blank page, which is what we are expecting. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to fix um, the page here. We are going to bring out our boilerplate, give it a title, tag, name, and also um, continue with the design. Okay, so what we now want to do is we oh sorry, the error that came out now is telling us that our skills.html file does not have any html body tag, and we are using live live server on it. So live server will not actually work if there's no html file, like it is empty, so there's nothing to show. So what we want to do is press shift +1 is going to give you an exclamation, and click on the first exclamation, and it's going to give you this boilerplate. Yeah, so when I hit on save and I come here and I refresh, you can see that I have document. The reason I have to refresh even when I'm using a live server is because it was empty before and now it contains some things. So I have to tell the live server that I have the right format of HTML now, so and it can help me and keep track of it. Okay. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to give this title a name and say my skis. My skis. Okay. So let's come back here. My skis. I know this is not that that a big deal. We already know that, right? Okay. So the next thing we want to do is we need our hamburger. We need our navbar from the landing page here. We also want it in this keys here. Okay. So what we want to do now is we are going to come here inside the index.html and copy from this header, and we are going to cut it, or copy rather. So copy it, and after copying it, come back to the keys, and we can put the comment here and say um, menu navbar, or navbar menu. All right, so we put it here and hit on save, then come here and we can see we have our navbar, and if I click on this, it's going to tell me that there's nothing like that exists, because we are inside these keys. Don't be confused. You are it's just like saying you are in Abuja, or you are in Kwara, or you are in Lagos, and you now go to the park and I say you are in Lagos. Oh, you now say I'm going to Lagos, I'm going to Lagos. People will just give you what answer, like they will just be looking at you that what you are saying is not possible. You want to go to Lagos and you are in Lagos, and even maybe you are calling the name of the area you are. You understand, you are in that particular place already and you are still pointing to that particular place, so that's not possible. You understand? So that's just it. Okay. All right. So what we want to do now is we are going to fix this. I told you, if we are in that particular directory, what we would need to do is just put in an hash. You understand? So the only thing we are going to change here is, since we are not in home now, so what we want to do is we are going to point to the home, so that we can go from the home to from the keys to the home. We can go from home to the keys, and now we need to go from the keys back to home. All right, so now we want to go up. So what we are doing here is we want to go from these keys back up to index, these keys want to come out. So the first thing it needs to do is say, okay, from where I am, okay, we are open up the public. I want to move out from the public, which is these two dots, and from this now, let's see what we have. We have the index here now. Okay, so this is the public here. We don't need to specify the public. We just have to use the two dot up so that we go up. If you are conversant with your bash or cmd, you will understand this more. So that's that. So the next thing we need to do now is okay, let's go back. All right, so if I click on the skills, you see, and if I click on the home, I go back home, you see it's making sense. All right, so the next thing we need to do now is we just need to import our css file, and that in css file now is where this is where it is now. Okay, Hamburger Menu. So what we should actually do is we will need to separate the hamburger styles from here, because um, we are going to be needing it in the skills.html, and we also need it again in about.css, and we don't want the styles that is inside the index.html to affect the styles inside the skills.html when we import it. I hope you understand me. We have the let's say, okay, we have the, let's say we want to have another class name that is called info in our skills. Let's say we want to say skills info or info h1, you understand, or we want to have another my image in my skills. And since we already have it styled here, and we want to, because we want to make use of the navbar, we import it to the skills. It's going to override or affect our styles that we're giving to the skills. So that's the reason we just have to separate it. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are just going to spend a little time to fix that. So what we are going to do here is I hope you understand the reason we would need to do this, but this is very important. Okay, so we can say navbar.css, and what we need to do now is we are going to come here and look for everything that has to do with nav. This is from the nav, and okay, so you can see the reason that is very good for you to add comment. So as you can see, I specify that this is where the main section begins from, and when I'm copying from this navbar where I know that this is where it starts from, you can see that when I got there, you just have to stop that. Okay, this is the main section, so I just have to copy this. I'll cut it here and I'll paste it here. Okay, so let's check if we have any other one. Okay, we have here, we have this media query. So what we are going to do now is we are going to copy this. I'm going to copy this now, and I'm going to come here and say media query. So this media query is the one that we are using for the mobile responsiveness, and we are going to cut it away from here because we don't need it here twice. Okay, so we have it here again. So okay, we have these two guys that are not supposed to be here. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are just going to, oops, sorry about that. So let me use my short key to copy, so you see it. So what I'm just doing is I press my shift key and my up arrow key, so that's what that is allowing me to do that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is I'll just paste it here. Okay, so I think that is okay, and I'm going to cut these two guys because I don't need them. Okay, so save, and I'll come here, and what I will do now is I want to cut out this nav because I don't need it again. Okay, all right, so clear them up. All right, okay, so I'm going to save now. Okay, And the next thing I want to do now is check if we have any other one. And okay, I think we don't have any other one here again. So let's go and check up on our pages and see what the issue is. Okay, let's refresh. So now good. So this is what we expect. Nothing is working, so let's see how we can fix that. So this is very important because there are some cases you just have to, there will be a reason for you to move out some code out of from some code base, maybe because they have become a legacy code, the code that you are not using again, maybe they are old or you want to reuse it somewhere. And trust me, if you are separating your components like this, your styles like this, is really going to help you because you can easily reuse this. You can just, if you have another client, just pick up this file and you are good to go. You understand? So the next thing we want to do now is we are going to import this navbar to this index.html. You know, it doesn't have the navbar styles anymore. So what we're going to do now is we just say styles. We're going to CSS styles. Okay, so what we want to do now is I don't need to be starting this. You can just copy this. I just press my Control C V. And another thing you can do is you can press Shift with the Alt key, then press the arrow key, so I can make a lot of copies that I want. You understand? Shift key plus the alternative key plus the down key. Okay, so what I will do here is I will just say navbar.css, and that's all. That's all. So for the keys, I'm going to come here and say styles, CSS styles. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is come here and do the CSS here, and I'm going to do slash Our Css CSS navbar. Yeah. So and the next thing I'm going to do now is let's go and check up. Now good, we have our hamburger back. So if you can see, things are working. So we can move from the skis back to the home and to the skis and back to the home. Yeah. So what we need to do now is we now have to come to the skis, and but you can see we are having that ugly um, margins, species, let's call it species. They are margin. So all these margins, they are ugly. So and you know the reason they are there. You should know the reason they are there. Don't tell me you don't know the reason they are there. So they are there because we don't have the padding to remove the default styles from the body. Okay, so I believe you know why now. All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to now create a CSS file where we for the skis. We are now going to do that. So the reason the home page is not having that, let me emphasize on that, is because of these three things are here. So if I comment out this guy and I come here, you can see that we have it here again on our on our landing page. So it's not a secret. You can see that the two are now the same now. You can see. So we're now going to just do it this way, and everything is fine back. All right, so what we want to do is we are going to, we don't need these again, index, bye bye. All right, so what we are now going to do now is come to the CSS file, and in the CSS file we want to create something we call skis.css. And inside the skis.css, now the first thing we want to do is we want to import the CSS file here. So what we want to do is you can come here and say link. I pressed link because, and I press enter, so that's it. Slash asset slash css slash okay, cool, and I have my skis css. All right, so let's go to the skis here. Let's go back here. So okay, and let me decrease this a little bit. Okay, so over here what we want to do is bring out the white card and then say padding 0 and margin 0 and box sizing border box. Okay, and when we come back, everything is working perfectly. So we have what we need now. All right, but I feel there's one more thing. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. Everything is cool. So what we need to do now is, now let's focus on how our skills page is going to look like. So the skill page is just going to show that, okay, I know HTML as a front-end developer. I know how to code HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what we now want to do is we need an image to show that, okay, this is the logo of HTML and CSS, and we also need a little text to talk about it, that, okay, I know HTML very well. Yeah. So what the first thing we are going to do is we are going to come to our CS HTML file, and let me reduce this a little bit. Okay, I hope you guys can see this. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is we are going to have our main, I said the other time that the header, you can only have one header and one main in your HTML file, because as a human being you only have one head and one body. So that's semantic HTML tags. So what we now want to do is we want to have a section with a class name. So this is just a shortcut, like this is a section tag, and this dot means a class name. I want to write a class name, and I want to say skills. So this is skills, and when I press enter, you can see I have my section and class skills. So if if you don't understand it, don't worry yourself, you can just type it manually. It's not a problem. Okay, so this is a section of the skills, and also you can, let me just use this so that I won't confuse people, but I'll still use it. Skills. Okay, so inside this case now, what I want to do is we are going to have now, let's say we now have a section, and this section now is going to be, let's say this is the skill page. We can say we have the okay, we have the HTML section. Okay, and we are going to have the CSS section, and also we are going to have the JavaScript section. Let me write JavaScript. Okay, all right, so we have these three sections here, and it is good to see HTML section, CSS section. It is really good to add comment to your code, because of people that will have to use your code for some reasons, or even you when you come back and write your code. You understand? So it really help you. It might be difficult at first, like I have to write comment every time, but it will really help you, and it will make you a better developer. All right, so the next thing we need to do now is we need in our HTML section now, we need our image and our text. So I think this is the right time for us to go and get an image. So let's go and shop some pictures. All right, so what we are going to do now is we are going to go to undraw.co, and this is where we get the landing page image from. So from here now, what we are going to do now is okay, let's see whether we can get anything like HTML. Okay, so as you can see, we have different HTML and CSS pictures here, but this is not what we have. Like, this is not what we need, you understand, because what we have is like we need it small images. So and since Undraw cannot do it for us, so the next thing we can do is we can go to fontanswer.com. So you can see that we have different use for different websites. So we need the icons. So because we need icons, we just have to come to font and so on, because that's what they basically do. And for the undraw, they just give us an illustration. So now what we want to do now is look for HTML tags, and yeah, you can see this is exactly what we needed. So we can pick this HTML5. That's what we know to do best. Yeah. So what we are going to do now is just click on this guy, and one tip I can give you is, see, if you already know the syntax for the font and some, you don't need to always come here. You can just even guess before you come here and try it out, and it's going to work out for you. So you can spend a little time going around it and you will understand it. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to come here, and for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to have another, let me say, another div. So if I do this div, it means I'm creating a section with a class, with an empty class. You understand? So but for this, what I want to do is I want to create a section for, let's say, ski icon container. Okay, so I'm going to paste this here. Don't be confused. Don't be confused. The only thing I did was I put dot, and this dot means that I'm creating a new container. I'm creating a new container. Let me come here. I'm only telling you this so that it will make your work faster. So just press your dot and you have this, okay, and then you can type inside. But instead of you having that, you can just do this somewhere and press enter. It's going to do it for you. So I think that explains it well, and I can use it without explaining again. Okay, so let's save and let's go to our skis, and oops, we don't have anything here. We don't have anything here. Okay, so now I think I'll drive you guys much further. So now this font answer, now the, I talked about CDN. Yeah, I think we talked about CDN content. CDN is content delivery network. Okay, I said these are the people that they provide a service for us. It's just like a SaaS, SaaS, software as a service. So what they do is they provide those icons for us. So the only thing we just have to do is we just have to go to their website, get their link, just like the way we have for maybe like Bootstrap and other things. So, and we are going to just import the HTML tags, and it's going to work. But I think we have it in here. Okay, I think we have it here. Have we used anything like that? Oops. Yeah, we did. Yeah, for the hamburger. Yeah, for the hamburger. If you remember, the hamburger we are using here is from the hamburger we are making use here. Oops. Why is that hamburger not showing here? Okay, it's showing here. Okay, so now you can see, okay, it's not actually showing there because we forgot to, or let me say I forgot to import the font and some CDN link. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come here, and I'm going to go to the top here. You can see font and some icon. So you can see it is very good to name your to put comment on your code. So I'm just going to copy this. But I'm not copying something else along. Okay, so all right, so I'm just going to copy this, Control C, and I'm coming here and I'm going to paste it here, Control V. All right, cool. So now I think we should be good to go. Okay, I think the last time we discussed, we say you should create an account here, and you are going to have your own kit. So if you have your own kit, you'll be able to get the font and some CDN or kit for your project. So the CDN will be unique for you. All right, so if we come back to our ski, and if you can see, I don't know if you can see this, but let me help you on zoom. So you can see we have icon here. It's very small, so but it's working now. So let me do this. All right, so what we want to do next is, let me test if the hamburger is coming. Okay, our hamburger is back. Okay, but our pasting is not working. Our JavaScript, that means we didn't import the JavaScript. So what we can do is import our JavaScript. So we have our script source, oops, small script source, and we can have our JS here. All right. Okay, so let's test. Okay, cool. So you can see it's very reusable. Just imagine you have like two projects, and what you built like 3 months ago, you're already reusing it again. All right, so what we now want to do next is we want to add some text here. So we want to add text to our ski. So this, let's say, ski icon, and over here we want to say let's say ski description. Okay, so what we want to do here is just create a new div and say ski description, or let me say skis description. Okay, so let's make everything like uniform skis. So we use skis. Okay, so description, and I want to say I have a paragraph here. I just press P and press enter. Okay, so I want to say I know HTML very well, full stop. Okay, now let's see how that will come out. Okay, I know HTML very well. Yeah, so but you can look for more professional text to use there. So but me, I know HTML very well. All right, so what we can now do is, since we have this, the next thing we want to do is we want to add this we call it progress bar. When you are downloading something, that thing that will be going like 0%, 2%. Let me stop talking, let me show you guys. All right, so what we have here is, let's go to W3 school. So this is actually how I do my client's project or my personal project. I go from one website to another to go and see what they have that I can use. Okay, but this is amazing. This is not their landing page before. All right, so let's learn HTML. Okay, yeah, but I cannot be looking for it here. So what I'm going to do is, let me teach you another trick. So if you need something from a website, what you can do is w3schools.com, give it a space, then you see progress bar. Yeah, just press enter. So it will be the first one that will come out here. So it will be the first one that will come out here. So what I'm going to do is well, I think this is for Bootstrap. Okay, let's see. Okay, so these are progress bar. Let's see the source code. Okay, this is for Bootstrap. We don't need Bootstrap. So what we can do here is come here, check the second one. The reason I know it's Bootstrap is, see, Bootstrap, because that's the topic, but this one is W3SS this thing. This is their own, W3 school have their own CSS. You can see from this W3 border. So this is our own CSS. So let's click on this. Let's see. All we need is just the tag. All we need is just a tag. So these are to make a progress bar if you want to build your own progress bar, but we really don't need to build our own progress bar. So what we just need is, I can copy this guy this one from here. So the reason I'm having this, you might not have this on your own. This is called gripper. So as it helps you a lot because it gives you one of the best answer to your question, and also you can also donate a question, an answer to a question, so that I won't be looking for thousands of things. It will just give me straight up, so I can copy from here and use. So you can look for gripper and install it on your browser. Okay, so enough of the search. So let's go back, and we are going to put it here. Okay, so let me firstly show you how it displays. You can see it doesn't, we don't need, you can see we don't need any css for it, except we just want to change the color and other stuffs. Okay, so now this is how it is done. All these downloading things that will be moving up and down, this is what they use, this is the tag they use. So you can also go and look for how you can like make your own if you know JavaScript, like to make it more dynamic. All right, so what the only thing we just need is, we don't need this label, we already have a paragraph for it, and we have our progress tag and the ID. We don't need this. This is where maybe you want to work with JavaScript and you want to have access to it. Okay, so it has a value and a maximum number. So what is telling the this attributes, you know, this is an attribute and this is a value. What it actually means that the current value is 32 and the maximum number is 100. So in case like for the height, so if I increase this one to, like, let's say I increase it to 100, let's see what's going to happen. You can see that it has filled up. And if I increase this maximum number to 1000, you can see it's just going to show us the percentage of that 100 out of that 1000. So this is very, very useful. So, and I'm happy that I'm showing you this. Okay, so now what we want to do is, okay, let's rate ourselves, like how many HTML do we know out of 100. Let's just say 70. Let's say 70. Okay, so we are going to put 70 here, but be careful if you are using the progress bar, because your recruiter might be expecting you to know like maybe like 90, and you are saying you know 80, and it means you are downgrading yourself. So that's one reason you should not use this to measure yourself, but this is just for study case. And if it's going to make your site beautiful, ensure to use like 95. They will not arrest you for it. Okay, so we have 70 here. So let's do the same thing for the remaining tags. So don't forget, this is our HTML section, the icon, the skill icon, and the skill description. So what we want to do is, so that this will be easier, you can use like a small case there, case icon. So you will know that this is sub heading, so you know the different skill description. So I'm only showing you this so that it will make you work easier, you know how things are done. So this is just basically how a code base is being written also. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm just going to copy from here. I'll copy from here down here. I'll come here. I've copied it with Ctrl C. I'm going to paste it here, and also I'm going to shift to the front with tab, and I'm going to copy again, come to JavaScript, move to the front, and I'm going to paste this. Okay, I want to go back now. So the shortcut I'm using to go back is just shift and the curly brackets to the back. So curly bracket, this is curly bracket, because some people are saying I'm using shortcut, they don't know, and it's affecting them. So these are the two curly brackets. So if you press Ctrl, with this it's going to the front, with this it's going to the back. Okay, so what we want to do now is okay, let's see what we have. All right, so you can see what we have. I know HTML very well, so let me make it dynamic. So this is for CSS. So let's see if we change this icon to CSS. Let's see whether it's going to change. So it didn't change. Let's put 3, CSS 3. Yeah, so we have CSS 3. So you can see that I told you that you don't really I don't say maybe because I've known it before. It's just like a reflex. You understand, like an instinct, because CSS is CSS3 and HTML is HTML5. So if once you don't have to go back to front and someone copy. You have a lot of things to do. All right. So for here, let's just use JS. I've not done this before. So we have JavaScript. Okay. So let's actually check, because we might have various, like several this thing to use. So let's use CSS. So as you can see, we have CSS3, we have this. Okay, you see, but I think this is much better, this CSS3 alternative. So that's one of the disadvantages. If you go there, you will see different option. Okay, so the one we actually looking for is JS. So you see we have this and we have this. Which one should we use? Which one should we use? Okay, we are going to go for this. Let's see, we are going to go for that. Okay, let's go for this, because the remaining ones two are like kind of brand. So we are going for JS square. Okay, so I'm just trying as much as possible to make you guys feel along as we are coding, because this is basically how coding is also being done. Uh, so what we are going to do now is we are going to make things look good. So this is basically what we are doing for this. So what we are going to just do is we want to say, I know, let's say I am very good at JavaScript. Okay, full stop. So, and if I'm very good at JavaScript, let me say I'm like 80% good at JavaScript. And our CSS, I know CSS design. Let me say I can design a website with CSS very well. So, and CSS is kind of like, let's say like 75%. So don't forget, let's change this to 75. And if this is 80, we should change this to 80. All right, so now cool. So what we now want to do, what we want to do now is that we want to come here, and we want to style everything together so that everything will be rhyme. So we will now come here, and have we linked our skis? Okay, we've linked it. So what we now want to do is we want to say this is skis, and we want to say the width. Oh, sorry, skis width. Remember, our skis is our container. Let me just split my screen and go to the right, and I want to do, okay, let me say this. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to say our width of 100%. Okay, width of 100%. Okay, you can see that it's increasing. All right, so and let me show you. So background, because oh, this the HTML I want to show you guys. Okay, all right, so red. Okay, so you can see this is red. It's taking 100%. So what we now want to do is that we want to say that these three guys should flex, or how do you want it? We want this one to be like in front of them, so that they will be in the same row. Okay, so we have two columns for the icons and one for the description. So what we now want to do is we want to come down here and call on the HTML, call on the CSS, and also call on the JS. So what we are calling here is this. We are calling on this CSS, this HTML, and this JavaScript. You understand what I'm saying? Like they are the same format. They're in the same format. You understand? This is the parent element. This is the child element, and this is another child element. It has two children element. So this one too has two children element, and want them to have the same thing. You understand? So we don't have to be saying HTML separately, CSS separately, JavaScript separately. So we just have to code them together, and I think we've discussed it in our previous video. So what we want to do now is we want to use display. Oops, sorry about that. Display flex, and you already know what's going to happen. So now the two of them are beside each other, and this JavaScript, I think it's because I use JS instead of JavaScript. Okay, now everything looks good. Yeah, cool. So this is what we have now. So now what we want to do now is that we are going to see we want to increase our image here. Let's increase our image here. So what we are going to do now is we are going to come here and say that this is our image container, skis icon container. So I can copy this, and if I copy this, I'll bring it here, remove this. Okay, so we are going to do and don't forget, I think I mentioned it, that anything from font and some, you can treat it just like a normal text. You understand? You can give it a font size, you can give it anything you want. You understand? So that's basically about that. So we can give it a font size of, let's say, 50 px. Okay, so now you can see that it's increasing just like our text. So that's one good thing about font and so. And another thing we want to do is we want to give it a width of, let's say, 200% of the screen. Okay, cool. So you can see it's taking like 200% of the screen. Sorry, so this should be like 20. I want to say 20. So you can see, so it's taking like 20% of the mother width. So let me actually show you. If I give the let's say, if I give this a background color of red, and you can see, so this is 20% of the 100% that the mother has. So all right, so what we want to do next is that we want to say, we want to give it a margin bottom so that there will be space between these two guys. Okay, you know what, this switching is too much. Let me come here and bring this here. So I'll cancel one of these, I'll come here. Okay, so we can see it at once. Okay, all right, so what we want to do now is that we want to give it a margin bottom of 20px. Okay, so you can see that we have space between them. And next thing we want to do now is we want to say a color. We want to give it a color, because you can see that this color is black, and we're having something like a deep blue or something. We're having it there, so it doesn't actually make sense. So what we can do now is we can say RGB. Don't forget that RGB is red, green, blue, like the mixture of them. So what we can do is don't forget the color that we have here. So we have the 47, 46, and we have 65. Okay, so, and after we have this, let's save it. So good, so you can see that everything rhymes. So that's why you just have to always go with the right color, like just know the color to go with. All right, so the next thing I want to do is, let me just give it a font. Okay, no need for this since it's just like an image. No need for this. All right, so we've styled our icons. So the next thing we can do is we can come here and then style this description. Let's style this description. So what we can do is we can come here and say ski description. And what we can do next is we can do our test. Let's give it test align left. Okay, so if you give it right, you can see it will go this way. So you can also style it anyhow you want if you want to. So what we can do again to make things good is that let's also give them a color of RGB, and we can give this a 47. You can see that the red, green, blue comes out now. That's the original color for RGB, and we have 65 here. Okay, so skills description, yeah, good. So we now have the same color here. So let's give it a font size. We can give it like 30, but it will be too big, and we don't want that. So let's just stick to like around 17 px. Okay, okay, good. So now what we want to do now is that we now want to make them to come to the center, because this is coming to the back and we want them to be at the center. So what we can do is, if you remember in our index, we are giving it a padding of 100 px at the top and the bottom, and 200 px by the left and the right. I believe you don't forget. Okay, so what we now want to do is we can just copy these two guys, and this transition, the transition is just for it, so that when the maybe like the page is being dragged or something is moving, everything is going to move well. So that's just it. So what we need here is we can come here and now say give it this. So you can see what we have now. This is what we have, and I feel this is much better. This is okay. Yeah, this is okay. So this is just like for the basic. If you have more things to add, you can add it to maybe to the text, or you can remove the preload, the progress bar, and add more text and give it a padding or margin. Okay, so and now we just have to deal with the responsiveness, because things are breaking. So I think the reason would be because we added this, and for us to get it done, the only thing we just need to do is we can say okay, okay, do we have anything to do here? We can write our middle query though. Let's say from maximum width of, let's see what we have in our index. Are we using 900? Okay, so let's say from the 920, let's copy from here. Okay, we just want everything to be uniform, so that's why we are doing that. Okay, so we'll just change this main to ski. Okay, don't forget dot ski section. Okay, so as we can see now, we have this guy. Okay, what do we have? Okay, we don't need this prefix. Okay, now cool. So as you can see now, we have this, and it's actually looking not too bad. It's actually not too bad. All right, so what else again can we add? I think this is just the basic things that we have, and I think this is good. This is good. You can play around with it and add more things, because this is just basic like this is just the basic skills that we have for now. So, and we are coding it from our head, so we should just stick to this. All right, so I hope you've learned a lot from this section, and we are going to proceed to start the about page. So but I'm going to do this in another video, so that it will be in two ways. So we are going to continue the next one in the next video. See you in the next video. Bye bye.